Ladies, let me tell you something, and I'm going to tell it to you straight because life is too short for sugarcoating. You ever meet a man who seems completely uninterested in you? Maybe he doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't act like he notices you at all, and you start doubting yourself, thinking maybe you're not enough, maybe you're doing something wrong, maybe you should change who you are just to get him to look your way. Stop it right there. Let me tell you the truth. If a man is not interested in you right now, it doesn't mean he never will be. It doesn't mean you're not attractive. It doesn't mean you're not desirable. And it sure as hell doesn't mean you should lower your standards. Men are simple creatures in many ways, but they also respond to energy, confidence, and presence. What a lot of women fail to understand is that attraction is not about begging or chasing. Attraction is about positioning yourself as someone who is rare, valuable, and magnetic, whether he notices it now or later. First, you have to understand something about men. Men are hunters by instinct. Even in today's modern world, the chase is part of our wiring. The minute you start chasing him, you take away his opportunity to be a hunter. You become the one pursuing, and men are hardwired not to respect someone they can have at will. That's why the first step in attracting any man, even if he seems uninterested, is to stop chasing. Stop sending endless texts. Stop waiting for him to call. Stop analyzing every little thing he does or doesn't do. Live your life like you don't need him, because the truth is you don't. When you focus on yourself, your dreams, your happiness, your energy, you become someone he wants to notice. And the moment he sees that, his interest starts to change. The irony is, the less available you seem, the more attention you naturally draw. Men respect a woman who has her own life, who has her own purpose, who isn't dependent on anyone else for validation. Now let's talk about mystery. So many women give away everything about themselves right at the beginning. They talk too much, overshare, and reveal every detail about their life, their past, their insecurities, and their routines. Let me tell you, that's a mistake. Men are naturally curious, and curiosity is what keeps attraction alive. If he already knows everything about you in the first week or two, where's the excitement? Where's the intrigue? Leave something for him to discover. When he has to lean in, pay attention, and really try to figure you out, that's when attraction starts building. Don't be mysterious for the sake of playing games, though. Be mysterious because you are a multi-layered, complex woman with a rich life that he can't fully understand in one conversation. This creates a magnetic pull that even the most uninterested man will eventually notice. Confidence is another key element. I'm talking about true, unshakable confidence. Not arrogance, not showing off, not pretending you're perfect, but genuine self-assurance. When you carry yourself with confidence, you signal to a man that you know your worth. And let me tell you something. Men are attracted to women who value themselves because it forces us to recognize their worth too. Confidence isn't just about looking good. It's about walking into a room, owning your space, and not being afraid to speak your mind. When a man sees a woman who is confident, he can't ignore her, even if he's initially uninterested. Confidence tells him that you are not just anyone. You are someone who deserves to be pursued, and that makes him take notice. You also have to maintain standards. I don't care how good looking a man is. If he doesn't respect your boundaries, if he doesn't treat you right, if he doesn't value you, he's not worth your time. Many women make the mistake of lowering their standards just to keep a man interested. Don't do that. A man might test you. He might play games. He might act uninterested just to see how far he can push you. And let me tell you, the women who get the most respect, the women who end up with men who truly value them, are the ones who hold their ground. Standards are magnetic. When a man realizes he has to work to earn your time, your attention, your love, suddenly he starts seeing you differently. It's not about being hard to get. It's about being valuable and not settling for anything less than what you deserve. Another thing to understand is energy. Women underestimate the power of joy, positivity, and radiance. A woman who is happy, who laughs, who smiles, who genuinely enjoys her life can attract a man from across the room without saying a word. Men are drawn to energy. They can feel it. Even a man who claims he's not interested will notice when your energy is different, when you walk into a room and light it up without even trying. That kind of presence is irresistible. So don't focus all your energy on trying to get him to notice you. Focus your energy on being the best version of yourself, on creating joy and positivity in your life, and the right man will be drawn to you naturally. Timing also plays a huge role. Sometimes a man isn't interested simply because it's not the right time for him. That doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It just means life has other priorities for him at the moment. And here's where patience comes in. Women often panic when a man doesn't show interest immediately. They overanalyze texts, they overthink interactions, they try to force a connection. But attraction is not something you force, it's something that develops organically. If you continue to live your life fully, maintain your standards, carry yourself with confidence, and radiate positivity, the right timing will align, and the man who once seemed uninterested will start to see you in a completely new light. You've got to understand the power of subtlety. Attraction is not about desperation or attention seeking. It's about subtle signals that tell a man you're worth noticing without screaming it from the rooftops. Eye contact, body language, genuine interest in his thoughts, a smile that lights up your face. All of these little things communicate more than words ever could. A man may not be interested initially, but when he starts noticing these subtle cues, he begins to rethink his position. And that's when you start to see his interest grow. Finally, let me remind you that the goal is not to manipulate, trick, or play games with a man. The goal is to become a woman who is so confident, so radiant, so intriguing, and so self-sufficient that any man would be lucky to have her. When you focus on being your best self, the man who once seemed uninterested doesn't stand a chance. He's going to be drawn to you naturally because he recognizes the energy, the confidence, the standards, and the joy that you bring into the world. This is the essence of true attraction. It's not about what you wear. It's not about how you act. It's about who you are at your core. So remember, ladies, attracting a man, even if he seems uninterested, is about a combination of living your life fully, maintaining mystery, carrying yourself with confidence, holding your standards, and radiating joy. Do these things consistently, and you will see the man who once ignored you begin to notice, then admire, and eventually pursue. Men respond to women who know their worth, who don't settle, and who shine so brightly that their light is impossible to ignore. And that, ladies, is how you attract any man, even if he's not interested right now. Let me speak to you plain and simple because sometimes we need someone to be honest with us. No sugarcoating, no fluff. You ever find yourself chasing a man who doesn't seem to care? You text him, you call him, you plan your life around him, hoping one day he'll finally see what he's missing. Stop it. Stop thinking that your worth depends on whether or not he notices you. A man's interest is not a measure of your value, and the truth is, you can attract any man, even the one who seems completely uninterested. If you understand how men operate and how attraction really works, the first thing you need to realize is that men are naturally drawn to women who are independent. Not independent in a distant, cold way, but independent in the sense that you have your own life, your own dreams, your own joy, and your own purpose. When a man sees that you don't need him to complete you, he starts to see you as more than just another girl. He starts to see you as a prize. A lot of women make the mistake of thinking they have to chase a man to get his attention. That's a huge error. The minute you chase, you give away your power. You make yourself easy to get, and men are wired to respect what they have to work for. When you live your life fully, when you focus on your goals, when you handle your business and your happiness, you naturally become magnetic. He may not notice it right away, but human nature is tricky. Men can't help but pay attention to someone who carries themselves with purpose and confidence. The woman who is busy, thriving, laughing, glowing, and living her best life is far more attractive than the one who's constantly waiting by her phone for validation. Now let's talk about mystery. Mystery is one of the most powerful tools a woman has. You see, men are hunters by instinct. They like to explore, to discover, to figure things out. If you lay all your cards on the table, if you show him everything about yourself immediately, there's nothing left to discover. Attraction dies when curiosity dies. Keep some things to yourself. Let him wonder about your life, your passions, your thoughts. When he realizes there's more to you than meets the eye, when he has to lean in and pay attention to uncover who you are, he begins to see you as someone special. And don't mistake mystery for playing games. Mystery isn't about manipulation. It's about valuing yourself and not revealing everything to everyone. You're a layered, complex, amazing woman. Let him earn the privilege of discovering all your layers. Confidence is another key ingredient in attraction. True confidence is magnetic. It's not about showing off or trying to impress anyone. It's about knowing who you are and owning it. Confidence tells a man that you know your worth, that you're secure in your skin, and that you won't settle for anything less than you deserve. When a man sees a confident woman, he can't ignore her. Confidence radiates strength, independence, and allure. It doesn't matter how good looking you are if you lack confidence. Men notice it immediately. But when you carry yourself with poise, when you speak your mind respectfully, when you walk into a room and own it, you naturally draw attention. Confidence is magnetic because it signals to a man that you are someone who commands respect and admiration. Standards. Oh, standards. Let me tell you something. Women often make the mistake of compromising their standards just to keep a man interested. Don't do that. A man might act uninterested, might play games, might even try to test you, but a woman who knows her worth and holds firm to her boundaries is the one who will ultimately be respected and desired. Standards are not about being difficult. They're about valuing yourself. When a man sees that you won't tolerate foolishness, when he sees that you expect to be treated with respect, he begins to rethink his attitude. Men are drawn to women they have to earn, and standards create that dynamic. You're not being hard to get. You're being valuable, and that value cannot be overlooked. Another essential factor is your energy. Women underestimate the power of joy, happiness, and positivity. A woman who radiates energy, who smiles often, who laughs, who genuinely enjoys her life, naturally attracts men, even those who initially seem uninterested. Men are wired to respond to energy. We notice vibes, moods, presence. The woman who walks into a room and lights it up, who makes others feel good just by being there, is the one who will capture a man's attention. Energy is far more powerful than beauty alone. So focus on cultivating joy, happiness, and passion in your life. When your energy is high and magnetic, men cannot help but notice, even if they don't admit it at first. Timing is another part of the equation. Sometimes a man isn't interested simply because the timing isn't right. Maybe he's focused on work. Maybe he's dealing with personal issues. Maybe he's just not ready for a real connection. That doesn't mean you're not attractive, that you're not desirable, or that you've done anything wrong. It just means patience is required. Don't panic, don't chase, don't beg for attention. Live your life fully and trust that the right time will come. A man who initially seems uninterested may suddenly see you in a new light when the timing aligns, and he will be drawn to your confidence, your standards, and your radiant energy. Subtlety is key. Attraction doesn't require grand gestures or desperation. Small things communicate volumes. Eye contact, body language, the way you carry yourself, the subtle smile that hints at your confidence. All these signals are powerful. Men may not notice all of them consciously, but subconsciously they register. And the man who once seemed indifferent may find himself increasingly drawn to you without even realizing why. Subtlety allows you to show him who you are without pushing or demanding attention. It makes him work just enough to earn a connection, which is exactly what men respond to naturally. It's also important to stop overthinking. Women have a tendency to overanalyze everything a man does or doesn't do. The text he didn't send, the call he didn't make, the look he gave you. Stop it. Men aren't as complicated as we're made out to be. A man's initial lack of interest often has more to do with his circumstances, timing, or focus than with your worth. The more you obsess over his behavior, the less attractive you appear. Instead, focus on your life, your growth, your happiness, your energy. When you stop worrying about him, he will start worrying about you, wondering why you're so unbothered, so vibrant, and so magnetic. The essence of attracting any man, even one who seems uninterested, is about creating an irresistible combination of independence, mystery, confidence, standards, energy, timing, and subtlety. When you embody these qualities consistently, you naturally draw him toward you. He may resist at first, he may act uninterested, but the pull becomes too strong to ignore. Men respect women who know their worth, who don't compromise, and who shine in a way that cannot be overlooked. It's not about tricking him or forcing attraction. It's about becoming the kind of woman that commands attention simply by being herself. So focus on yourself, value your time, protect your energy, and embrace your unique qualities. Live your life fully, laugh often, and cultivate joy. Let your confidence radiate. Keep a little mystery alive, maintain your standards, and allow subtlety to do its work. Do these things consistently, and you'll find that even the man who seemed uninterested at first will not only notice you, but begin to pursue you with sincerity and admiration. Men are drawn to women who are powerful, radiant, independent, and magnetic. And when you step into that energy, there's no man in the world who can resist your presence. Let me tell you something that a lot of women don't seem to understand. And I'm going to say it plain, a man who acts like he's not interested isn't necessarily unavailable or unattainable. It often just means he hasn't realized your worth yet. And the truth is, attraction is a game that most women play backwards. They chase, they plead, they overthink, and in the process, they make themselves seem less desirable. But if you want to attract a man, even the one who seems uninterested, you've got to understand how men operate, how attraction works, and how to position yourself as someone worth noticing, someone worth pursuing. The first thing you need to know is that men are wired to chase, to pursue, to feel like they're earning your attention. If you're constantly chasing, constantly overanalyzing, constantly trying to make him notice you, you strip him of that natural role, and you become less attractive. So the very first step is to stop chasing. Stop sending endless messages. Stop overthinking every look or word. Stop planning your day around whether or not he responds. Focus on your life. Focus on your happiness. Focus on your energy. When a man sees that you're independent, self-assured, and not dependent on him for validation, he starts to take notice. He starts to think, wait a minute, she's not like every other woman. She's got her own life. She's not waiting for me to make her happy. That's magnetic. Men can't help but pay attention to women who are self-sufficient, who have purpose, who carry themselves with pride and confidence. Mystery is one of the most powerful tools you can use. I know some women think that mystery is about being secretive or playing games, but it's not. Mystery is about being a layered woman, someone with depth, someone who has parts of herself that are not revealed immediately. Men are naturally curious. They like to explore, to discover, to figure things out. When you reveal everything about yourself in the first conversation, first date, or even first week, there's nothing left to intrigue him. But when you leave him wanting to know more, when you allow him to slowly uncover your layers, he becomes invested. Curiosity builds attraction, and mystery fuels that curiosity. Be yourself, of course, but don't give away all of your pieces at once. Let him earn the privilege of discovering who you really are. Confidence is another critical element. A confident woman is irresistible. Confidence is not about arrogance, showing off, or trying to impress anyone. It's about knowing your worth, standing firm in your values, and carrying yourself with poise. When a man sees a confident woman, he respects her, he notices her, and he becomes attracted to her naturally. Confidence is magnetic because it communicates security, strength, and self-assurance. A confident woman doesn't have to beg for attention or validation. She doesn't need to manipulate or overcompensate. She simply exists fully in her own power, and men can't ignore that energy. Standards are just as important. Too many women lower their standards in order to hold on to a man's attention. Don't do it. A man may test you, act disinterested, or even play games, but the woman who holds her boundaries and maintains her standards is the one who ultimately gains respect and admiration. Standards are not about being difficult. They are about valuing yourself and ensuring that you don't settle for less than you deserve. Men are attracted to women who have high standards because they respect the challenge, and they respect what must be earned. A woman who knows her worth, who refuses to compromise her principles, and who holds herself in high regard becomes irresistible over time. Energy and presence are another key factor. Women underestimate the power of happiness, joy, and vibrancy. A woman who laughs, smiles, and radiates positivity attracts attention naturally, even from men who initially seem indifferent. Men respond to energy. They may not articulate it, but subconsciously, they are drawn to those who uplift, inspire, and create light wherever they go. A woman who walks into a room and brings joy, who carries herself with elegance, who emanates positive energy, will capture a man's attention without even trying. That energy makes him wonder, who is she? Why does she have that effect on me? And that curiosity turns into attraction over time. Timing is critical in relationships, and often a man's initial lack of interest has nothing to do with you. It might be that he's focused on work, dealing with personal issues, or just not ready for a connection. That doesn't diminish your value. It simply means patience is required. Don't panic or try to force his interest. Instead, continue to live your life fully, embrace your passions, and cultivate your confidence and joy. When the timing is right, a man who previously seemed uninterested will start to notice you in ways he never did before. Timing, combined with your energy, confidence, and standards, makes a woman irresistible. Subtlety is also powerful. Attraction doesn't need desperate gestures or over-the-top efforts. Eye contact, body language, a genuine smile, and confident posture communicate more than words ever can. Small, deliberate actions can have a big impact. Men notice these subtle signals, and even if they initially act uninterested, they begin to register the differences. They notice the way you carry yourself, how you engage with others, how you respond to him without needing to chase. This subtlety builds intrigue, and intrigue builds desire. You also have to stop overanalyzing everything a man does or doesn't do. Women have a tendency to read too much into texts, missed calls, and casual interactions. That overthinking actually pushes men away. Men are much simpler than we make them out to be. A lack of initial interest often has more to do with circumstances or priorities than it does with you. Focus instead on cultivating your best self, your energy, your confidence, your standards, and your joy. When you stop obsessing over him and start living fully, the shift happens naturally. He notices you, he becomes curious, and his interest begins to grow. Attracting any man, even one who seems uninterested, is not about trickery or manipulation. It's about becoming the kind of woman who is naturally magnetic, irresistible, and valuable. Independence, mystery, confidence, standards, energy, subtlety, and timing all come together to create a presence that cannot be ignored. A man who may have initially acted uninterested will find himself drawn to you, intrigued by your depth, impressed by your confidence, and captivated by your energy. Your focus should always be on yourself, your happiness, your growth, your passions, your energy. When you cultivate your life fully, maintain your standards, carry yourself with confidence, embrace your joy, and allow mystery to do its work, you position yourself as the kind of woman any man would be lucky to pursue. Even the man who once seemed uninterested will start to notice, reconsider, and ultimately be drawn to your light. Men are naturally drawn to women who know their worth, who refuse to settle, who shine brightly in all aspects of their life. And remember, attracting a man is not about what you do for him. It's about who you are. It's about embodying qualities that are magnetic: independence, confidence, standards, mystery, and joy. When a woman embodies these qualities consistently, men respond naturally, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly, but they respond. Even a man who is indifferent at first cannot resist a woman who knows her worth, radiates positive energy, and carries herself with dignity and confidence. This is the ultimate secret to attraction, and when you step fully into this energy, you'll find that you can attract any man, even the one who seemed uninterested at the start. Let me speak straight to you, because too many women are getting this all wrong. You meet a man and maybe he seems uninterested, maybe he's slow to respond, maybe he doesn't pursue you the way you think he should, and immediately you think it's over, that you've lost him, or worse, you think there's something wrong with you. Let me tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. Men are not complicated creatures in the ways women make them out to be. They are drawn to confidence, energy, standards, and presence. If a man isn't showing interest immediately, that doesn't mean he won't. It often means he hasn't realized your value yet, or that you haven't positioned yourself in a way that activates his attention and attraction. The key is not to chase, beg, or manipulate. The key is to become the woman who naturally draws a man in without effort, because she knows her worth, carries herself with confidence, and radiates energy that is irresistible. The first thing to understand is the power of independence. Men are wired to respect women who are independent, who have their own life, their own goals, and their own happiness. When you make your life revolve around him, you strip away that natural respect and attraction. But when you live your life fully, when you pursue your dreams, when you nurture your passions, and when you are genuinely happy, even the man who seemed uninterested will take notice. Independence communicates value, confidence, and self-worth, and those are magnets for attraction. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about being whole and secure in yourself. When a man sees a woman who doesn't need him, but is still captivating, he wants to step in and be part of her world. Mystery is another tool that cannot be underestimated. Women often make the mistake of revealing everything about themselves immediately. Every thought, every feeling, every detail of their life. That might seem innocent, but it kills attraction. Men are naturally curious, and curiosity fuels desire. If there's nothing to discover, there's nothing to chase, and attraction fades. Keep some things to yourself. Let him wonder about your life, your mind, your passions. Let him have to lean in, pay attention, and earn the privilege of understanding you fully. Mystery is not playing games. It's about valuing yourself and giving the right people the chance to uncover your depth. A man who initially seems uninterested will begin to lean in when he realizes there is more to you than meets the eye. Confidence cannot be overstated. A confident woman is a magnetic woman. Confidence is not arrogance. It's not about showing off or pretending to be perfect. True confidence comes from knowing your worth and standing firm in your values. When a man sees a woman who is confident, who owns her presence, who speaks with poise and clarity, he notices. Confidence signals strength, stability, and allure. Men are drawn to women who are self-assured because it challenges them in the best way. They are attracted to women who value themselves because it forces them to recognize that value too. Confidence does not need validation. It demands respect naturally. Standards are just as important. Too often, women compromise their standards to gain a man's attention, to keep him interested, or to avoid being alone. Don't do it. Men are drawn to women who have clear boundaries, who know what they deserve, and who refuse to settle for anything less. Standards are not about being hard to get. They are about being valuable. When a man sees that you have standards, that you will not tolerate foolishness, and that you expect respect, he starts to see you differently. Even a man who initially acts uninterested begins to reconsider because he understands that what you offer is not freely available to everyone. Your standards create value, and value is inherently attractive. Energy and presence are powerful tools that women often underestimate. Happiness, joy, and positivity are magnetic. A woman who radiates joy, who laughs freely, who smiles often, and who carries herself with an infectious energy draws attention naturally. Men notice energy, even if they don't immediately admit it. The woman who walks into a room and lifts the atmosphere, who engages genuinely with people, who exudes warmth and light, will inevitably capture a man's attention. That energy, combined with confidence, standards, and mystery, creates an irresistible presence. Even the man who seemed uninterested will find himself drawn in, unable to resist the magnetic pull of your vibrant energy. Timing matters too. Sometimes a man isn't interested because it's simply not the right time for him. He may be focused on work, distracted by personal matters, or not emotionally ready. That doesn't mean your value has diminished. That doesn't mean you did something wrong. It simply means patience is required. Stop trying to force his attention or affection. Focus instead on your life, your goals, your happiness, and your growth. When the right time comes, a man who once seemed indifferent will notice you in ways he never did before. Timing, combined with your energy, confidence, and standards, makes you irresistible. Subtlety is another key factor. Attraction doesn't require desperate gestures, grand displays, or over-the-top efforts. Subtle cues communicate more than you realize. Eye contact, body language, tone of voice, and a confident smile all send signals that register subconsciously. A man may act uninterested at first, but these subtle signals gradually capture his attention. When you carry yourself with elegance, confidence, and authenticity, men notice. Even if he resists initially, curiosity grows, desire builds, and interest develops. Overthinking is a trap that women fall into all the time. You may analyze every text, every call, every look, trying to decipher hidden meanings. Stop it. Men are not as complicated as they appear. A lack of initial interest often has nothing to do with you. It's about circumstances, timing, or priorities. Instead of obsessing over him, focus on yourself. Cultivate your energy, your confidence, your standards, and your joy. When you stop worrying about his attention, when you focus on becoming your best self, he will start to notice, and that attention will grow naturally. Attraction is not about trickery or manipulation. It's about creating a presence that is magnetic, irresistible, and valuable. When you embody independence, mystery, confidence, standards, energy, subtlety, and patience, you position yourself as a woman any man would be lucky to pursue. Even a man who initially seemed uninterested will begin to reconsider, drawn by your confidence, intrigued by your mystery, and captivated by your energy. Men respond to women who know their worth, refuse to settle, and radiate authenticity in every interaction. Focus on yourself above all else. Your happiness, your growth, your passions, your energy. Be confident, be joyful, be radiant. Maintain your standards and embrace a little mystery. When you consistently live this way, the man who once seemed uninterested will not only notice you, he will pursue you with sincerity and admiration. Men are naturally attracted to women who shine, who are self-assured, and who refuse to compromise their worth. Step fully into your power, embody your value, and you will attract any man, even the one who initially seemed indifferent.